start, good afternoon, welcome to the meeting of Cabinet Scrutiny Committee. Just to make you all aware, today's meeting will be recorded. Can I also welcome any members of the public or press to today's meeting? Can I kindly ask you to observe the meeting only and not speak or participate? Can I please remind you all to switch your phones to silent for the duration of the meeting? And in addition, can I refer you to the protocols for remote meetings, which have been previously circulated? And I think we should all know them by now. Your microphone should be switched to mute unless you're speaking. I say the Democratic Services Officer will take a roll call at the start of the meeting of all members and officers. And I say should you wish to ask a question or make a comment, can you please indicate either by the chat function or by raising your electronic hands on Teams. And I say before we start this meeting, I'll assume we've all read the paperwork before us today prior to it. And when asking a question, if possible, can you please indicate which page number you're referring to? And also introduce yourself. We'll firstly do a roll call. I'm Councillor Mike Harvey, the Chair, and I am present. And I'll now call on Democratic Services Officer to take the roll call. Thank you. Charlotte, are you doing this?
Sorry, I had myself on mute. I do apologise.
No.
If I could start then with Councillor Rahman.
Charlotte, I'm present.
Thank you. Councillor Sharon Freegard.
Present.
Councillor Nigel Hunt. No. Councillor Steve Hunt.
Charlotte, Chair, can I just say, I did try to draw your attention. All the other members, including Nigel Hunt, are in the cabinet meeting. I've been in there with them. I left that meeting to come into here, but they are still in the cabinet meeting, and that's why they're not here.
Call them in, Charlotte.
Charlotte,
Thank you.
Call them in. Don't worry.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis Keogh. No.
He's got problems as well.
Councillor Simon Noyle wasn't in earlier, so he won't be here. Councillor Alan Llewellyn.
I do, Charlotte, yes, I'm present.
Councillor Sandra Miller.
Present.
Councillor Rydian Maisen.
Yes, I'm Charlotte, present all.
Councillor Del Morgan.
Yeah, present all, yeah, present now.
Councillor Suzanne Padson.
Present.
Councillor Lynette Purcell.
Present.
Councillor Sheila Penry.
Present.
Councillor Sonia Reynolds.
Present.
Present, Chair.
If I move then on to this, Councillor Rob Jones.
Yes, sure, Charlotte.
Councillor Edward Latham.
Apologies.
Councillor Carol Clement Williams.
I'm here, Charlotte.
Thank you. Councillor Doreen Jones.
Present.
Councillor Alan Lockyer.
Present, Charlotte.
Councillor Peter Rees.
Present, Charlotte.
Councillor Peter Richards.
Present, Charlotte.
Councillor Annette Wingrave. I know she wasn't in the last one, so I'm not sure whether her apologies.
She's apologised.
Thank you. Councillor Leanne Jones.
Present.
And then officers, Stephen Phillips.
Present.
Aled Evans.
Present.
Howell Jenkins.
Present.
Andrew Jarrett.
Yeah, present, Charlotte.
Nicola Pierce.
Present.
Karen Jones. No, Craig Griffiths. Thank you. Craig Griffiths.
Present.
Hugh Jones. No. Andrew Thomas.
Present.
Rhiannon Crowhurst.
Present.
Peter Kernow.
Present.
Roger Bowen.
Present.
Julie Merrifield.
Present.
Simon Brennan.
Present.
Gareth Jones.
Present.
Lana Bynan.
Present.
Kerry Morris.
Present, Charlotte.
Julia Lewis. Karen Furlow.
Apologies.
Stacey Curran,
Present.
Chloe Plowman,
Present.
and Jane Woodman-Ralph.
Present.
If I've missed anyone at all, can you please let me know now, please? No, Chair, I think that's everyone.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for that. Item 1 on the Cabinet Scrutiny agenda is declarations of interest. Firstly, I'd like to declare I've got a declaration to make. I'm a member of the Swansea Bay City Deal Region Scrutiny Committee. Anybody else with declarations to make, please?
Yes, Chair, got my hand up.
Sorry, Councillor Freegard.
I sit on the Swansea City Deal Committee as well, so I'd like to declare a personal interest.
Okay, thanks for that. And Councillor Llewellyn?
Yes, Chair, similar, yes.
Okay, thanks for that. Item 2 on the agenda, minutes of the previous meeting, pages 3 to 16. I say, in respect of those minutes, has anybody got any comments to make in respect to them, please? No, I don't see any comments, so we're all happy with them. For those 2 sets of minutes, could I have a proposal, please?
I move, Chair.
Thank you,
I
Councillor.
second, Chair.
Thanks for that. Anybody against those minutes or abstaining? No, so they're approved. Thank you. Item 3, pre-decision scrutiny. Select appropriate items from the Cabinet's agenda for pre-decision scrutiny by scrutiny members. As you're aware, we've already scrutinised item the Strategic School Improvement Programme, the Joint Committee. Therefore, in yesterday's pre-scrutiny, it was agreed that we would scrutinise item 5, the Swansea Bay City Deal Infrastructure Project, which is on the Cabinet papers. So if you go to the Cabinet papers, item 5, as is normal, I wouldn't be asking officers to make a report unless they got any comments to make. And I'd like to welcome Mr. Gareth Jones from the Swansea Bay City Deal to the meeting, who will be answering questions with Mr. Simon Brennan.
Chair, I think Gareth's got a very, very brief presentation, if that's okay, which he can share the screen with. Is that possible? Yeah,
as long as it's very brief.
It is very brief, Chair. It won't be technical. You'll be pleased to know before everybody glazes over. Yeah, it's just a quick one to give you background to the business case for the digital infrastructure, and we'll answer any questions thereafter.
Okay, thanks for that. Gareth, please.
Yeah, afternoon, everybody. Nice to meet you all. Thanks, Simon. Diolch. I'll take you through literally a handful of slides and give you a quick strategic overview of the project, and give you a feel for what it is, what we're delivering, and how we're going to deliver it, if that's okay. So just to give you some context very quickly, there's been some misunderstanding in terms of this programme of work and the proposed investment. It is the digital infrastructure project of the Swansea Bay City Deal. It's not the digital project. It's not the digital strategy of the region. It's not artificial intelligence or data centres or driverless cars, which will all happen on top of the infrastructure. This is all about the connectivity of the region and the connectivity of Neath and Talbot. Hopefully that slide illustrates it. You know, you could talk about digitising the public sector, the private sector, smart towns, you know, digital healthcare provision, digital education. That's all fantastic. But in order to do all of that and more, you need good digital infrastructure. And when I say digital infrastructure in its most basic sense, I mean connectivity. So the programme is all about investment in full fiber connectivity, the associated infrastructure to support it, and mobile connectivity, primarily 4G, 5G, and some advanced wireless networks for future Internet of Things deployments. So ultimately, in terms of delivery, that is the proposed project there. It's a £55 million programme over 5 years. 25 million of that 55 is City Deal funding. The other 30 million is to be leveraged in from the private and public sector. The public sector contributions are not local public sector contributions. They are estimated to come from national competitions, national funding streams, voucher schemes for citizens and business to exploit and aggregate, etc. And then the private sector contribution to that 55 million will be leveraged in as part of the various procurement exercises we conduct. They are very conservative in terms of the financial targets. We don't foresee any issues in terms of meeting them. So 25 million City Deal, 55 million overall, 5-year delivery period. And essentially, we're going to deliver connectivity in various forms and in various locations across 3 work streams, which you have on your screen there. The first one, and the most relevant probably to Neath Talbot, is Connected Places on the right there. It's an investment in basically in full fibre broadband and full fibre networks across the urban parts of the region, particularly Port Talbot, Neath, the city of Swansea and Llanelli, and the duct that's required to support and underpin it. I'll come on to why this is important on the next slide, but this is, I think you'll agree if you read the evidence and read the report, that it's desperately needed, and not only now, but for the future as well. The second biggest work stream is the one on the far left. It's an investment in rural connectivity. Ultimately, that's a number of interventions to support our most rural communities and badly served communities. That's important because not all of our badly served are actually in rural areas. Most of them are, hence the name of the work stream, but not all. So demand stimulation, promotion of existing funding streams for people to exploit, supporting residents and communities and businesses in obtaining better connectivity, and funding interventions to deliver better broadband and mobile connectivity to the worst served parts of the region. And then the third work stream in the middle of that slide is some seed funding, is what it is essentially, to attract future 5G coverage, more 4G plus coverage for certain areas where it's prudent, and some advanced wireless networks to facilitate all sorts of use cases which we would seek to fund. So, you know, that could be driverless cars, it could be smart manufacturing, it could be smart agriculture, a long list of potential opportunities. It's probably important to mention that, you know, the diversity of the region offers us numerous opportunities to prove and deliver the use of 5G for the future. You know, manufacturing industry is a massive potential proving ground for future technology and the uses of 5G and high-speed broadband and fibre, as is homes as power stations, for example. That's another very good opportunity for us to work with mobile operators and broadband operators to develop concepts, ideas and scalable solutions for the future of homes and smart homes and energy provision to homes, etc. So that hopefully gives you a feel for the 3 work streams. Why are we doing it? Well, we've got a number of problems to solve. You can see the bullet points there, but ultimately we've got extremely limited full fibre coverage. We do not stack up well as compared to the rest of the UK. We intend to change that. So only 2.6% of Neath Talbot's premises, businesses and homes have full fibre broadband. That's not acceptable, and we intend to use our finances to leverage as much connectivity as possible. Second bullet point's also very important. 22,000 homes across the region who can't access even a 30 megabytes per second quality of internet provision. Again, unacceptable, and we intend to reduce that 22,000 significantly with this investment, working with Welsh Government, UK Government, telecoms industry and our own regional partners and stakeholders, of course. Our third point is very important. There is a distinct lack of competition, which is why the region isn't particularly well served in terms of connectivity. You know, we don't have a long list of providers. We don't have a long list of fibre builders in the region. We'd like to change that. We're seeking to work with industry and to utilise the finances to attract competition, to make sure we can build reliable, sustainable, fast connectivity for everybody, communities and businesses. I think I've probably covered the key points there. Again, why are we doing it? Well as the problems we've got to solve, we've got opportunities to exploit. I'm sure you'll all agree COVID-19 has highlighted the massive importance of connectivity to people working from home, people running businesses, and just to life in general, I think, these days. So the economic recovery and prosperity of the region, we see connectivity underpinning that. We think it's as important as the roads and any other utility these days, and certainly moving forward. Innovation and new business streams, clearly the digital world and the digital marketplace and the provision of digital services, public and private sector, offer huge potential, and connectivity underpins all of that. Social inclusion and cohesion, again, sustaining communities. You know, I think Simon and I spoke the other day, and Simon talked about the fact that we've tried for a long time to bring work to people and bring work to the communities, the harder reach the communities sometimes of the region. Well, actually, digital connectivity does that. A post-COVID world probably offers the opportunity to bring work to people and allow people to connect to work in that way. So we see connectivity as underpinning the future of the region in that sense. That 318 million is the projected GVA uplift from the project. And again, you know, future-proofing the region's infrastructure. So this is an investment for the future as well as today. You know, bandwidth needs for your average home, your average family, your average business today is quite high. And we don't have the infrastructure to meet today's needs, let alone the future. So this is an investment in the connectivity and infrastructure of the region for the next probably 30 years. If you consider the copper networks that most of our broadband runs on now, some of that copper is 80 years old, certainly 50, 60, 70 years old. And I think you probably make the same point in terms of the roads, you know. Everybody is on this race to full fibre and 5G coverage. We're in that race, and we intend to get there as quickly as possible and to use this investment to get Neath, Talbot and the rest of the region there. And the final slide, how we'll do it. So some of you will be familiar with that diagram on the left, but ultimately that is the governance structure for the city deal, which we adhere to. That's the overall structure of the regional growth deal, and probably more relevant to this conversation, the diagram on the right-hand side there, that's ultimately how the programme will be structured and delivered. So that's me in the middle at the moment. There'll be a small team that sits with us in that digital infrastructure PMO that works for the region, to the region, on behalf of the region, the 4 local authorities and the other stakeholders and partners. You know, it is a truly regional project in that sense, in that the footprint of delivery is across the region. It isn't physically located in one place like some of the other city deal projects are. Obviously, if you're building a digital arena or building an S4C headquarters, then naturally they physically exist somewhere. This is about investing equally and across the region and making sure the 4 authorities benefit equally where at all possible. For you to be aware, that digital infrastructure project board there, that is ultimately the board that steers me, the future team, our work, our delivery, our priorities. Simon Brennan is a leading member of that. And the focus here, lots of people have assumed that this is sort of a technical project, an ICT project. It's absolutely not. The members of that board are people who are focused on the strategic direction of the region's economy and its social equality and social well-being. This is not a technical project in any way. We will commission external suppliers to build duct, fibre networks, mobile coverage, etc. This is about regeneration, economic development, social cohesion and the prosperity of the region, and that's how the board has been structured and is tailored to deliver my priorities, I suppose. So that's it for me, hopefully as short and sharp as I could make it. Happy to take any questions at all from anybody. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. It was very informative, and I think of all the projects, this is one of the most vital to improve connectivity in this region. In pre-scrutiny yesterday, I had 3 indications of people who wanted to ask questions. First one is Councillor Suzanne Paddison, please.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. I'm really pleased to see that being part of the City Deal gives us projects like this. So I'm 100% wholeheartedly behind this. My question is, many years ago, I sat on Regen Committee, and I do no longer sit on that. And there was a presentation made a couple of years ago about a really super fast cable that may be coming into South Wales. I haven't heard anything since then. I wondered how that project, is it progressing? Did it die? What's happened?
Do you want me to pick that one up, Gareth?
You're probably more history and context than me, thanks.
Yeah. I think you have to trace back the history of the city deal on that one, and that was a proposal that was being pushed forward by Sir Terry Matthews and some of his associates. Like you, the thing just disappeared off our radar, actually. Whether things have changed or not, I don't know. I mean, it was about coming into West Wales, about a large cable, effectively. I think it was Jupiter, it was called. And our issue then was whether we could actually gain any benefit from it before it went off through the country. And that was what Sir Terry Matthews was trying to build the city deal around at that point. But the city deal changed direction slightly, and I'm not sure that actually took place.
Thank you for the update. That's fine. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks for that. There's two indications then further to ask questions. First one, Councillor Steve Hunt, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And Gareth, thank you for that presentation. I wasn't expecting that here today. So you probably have answered a little bit of the concerns or questions I may have had. I just to introduce myself, I'm chairman of the Regeneration and Sustainable Development Scrutiny Committee, of which this report actually didn't come through the scrutiny due to circumstances obviously beyond our control. But as a committee, we were unable to scrutinise it at that time. However, I have, as the chair, through our democratic services officers, given the members who sit on the Regen Committee the opportunity to come along today and ask any questions they may have to you and your colleagues, and also forward to myself any questions they would have liked. I didn't receive any such requests, and I know there's one member here today, or possibly two, but I'm aware that members have read the lengthy and detailed report.
Sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I don't know whether his signal might have gone.
Yeah, I think that shows the importance of this item. Councillor Hunt, are you there? Okay, perhaps we'll have to come back to him. Is he still off, Charlotte?
I'm just trying to, yeah, his camera and his sound has gone, so I'm not too sure whether he might have, whether his signal's playing up, I'm not too sure where. Maybe if...
Chair, do you think we could, I know some other members have got their hand up, is it possible for us to carry on and perhaps Councillor can come back in? I'm just mindful that Gareth is supposed to be going to another meeting at 4:30, and he may have to leave us then, so
yeah,
you know.
100%. Councillor Nigel Hunt, please.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thanks, Gareth, for that presentation. It was very useful and it was easy to follow. I totally concur that this is, for me, this is the most important of the 9 projects we've got with the Swansea Bay City deal. To get the digital infrastructure in place is essential for us to keep abreast of the rest of the country and the rest of the world, really, to make us competitive. We want inward investment. This project is pivotal to that. So I was just wondering, could you clarify for us where our connected places are in Neath and Talbot? Is it all of Neath and Talbot town, or is it just certain parts? And I also want to to get 5G, do you already have to have 4G rolled in to upgrade it? And with the rural aspect, will we be rolling out it to all, all the region, or will it be like just certain areas of the region? And if so, do we have certain parts of Neath and Talbot, certain valleys or certain hubs that we are going to focus on? Have we an idea where these places might be? So yeah, that would be fine for now if you could answer that.
Of course, no problem at all. It's so as far as connected places goes, the idea is to target Port Talbot and Neath. as well as Swansea and Llanelli in terms of duct and fibre network. So the intention is we would run a procurement to connect public sector assets and to provide a footprint for hopefully significant inward investment from fibre builders to connect as many of our premises and our communities across Neath Talbot as possible. So there isn't, at this stage, there isn't a specific list of communities we're targeting. If I was honest with you, we'll target as much as we can, as much as possible. I think when we get to market testing and we move to procurement, then we'll start to understand exactly what the which communities are within scope and are likely to be included, if that's okay. But I'm more than happy to come back if you need more detail as we move closer to delivery. As far as 4G, your question about 4G goes, so the big thing to remember about 5G, well, two things really. Everybody often thinks it's a choice between 5G or fibre broadband, and if you've got 5G, you won't need fibre. It doesn't work like that. So the really important thing to remember is if you want good 5G coverage, and we do across the region, you need very, very good distribution of fibre because, to answer your point, you need way more cell sites and masts for 5G to cover the same area that you would via 4G. So, you know, 2 masts might cover 10 square miles of 4G. To cover the same square miles with 5G, you need more cell sites, more masts. They tend to be smaller and you can use them off the site. You know, you could use public sector assets, for example, but you need good proliferation of fibre and you need a lot more cell sites. And as far as the rural question goes, so we have got very detailed intelligence and data in terms of who is connected and what they can expect to receive at the moment. Our priority at the moment, we will target the worst served of the rural areas, the very worst served. But saying that, it's not as straightforward as just going out to buy connectivity. With the greatest respect to the city deal, the budget isn't enough to connect everybody in West Wales. 25 million leveraging on top won't be enough to solve our problems. But there is investment ongoing from UK government and Welsh government. We will join the party and invest. We'll work alongside them and with them to make sure we aren't doubling our efforts anywhere. So it's a bit of a moving feast in that sense. But again, I can share data and maps with you to illustrate the worst served parts of Neath Talbot, if that's helpful.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay, I'm aware of the time and Gareth's got to go, so we'll move on. Councillor Steve Hunt, I believe, is back with us. Steve? No. Okay, I got an indication then from Councillor Alan Llewellyn to ask a question. Alan, please.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chair. I'll keep it because no Gareth has to go, but has Gareth gone or is he...
I am okay. I'm okay for a few minutes. It's fine. No problem at all.
There we are. Yeah. Nice to see you again, Gareth. And obviously, it's a point that I raised in the Swansea Bay regional scrutiny meeting. As you know, I've often raised the issue of valley areas, and you know, so I support the point that Nigel Hunt was making just now, because I think the point that we made was that we need some synergy between the Swansea Bay strategy. Doesn't solve everything on its own. It needs to dovetail into all sorts of other strategies on public and private sector basis. So particularly bringing connectivity to valley areas is very relevant in Neath Talbot. There needs to be a tie-in and some synergy with the valley strategy, and whether that's the Welsh Government's valley strategy or the valley strategy adopted within Neath Talbot as a county borough. So I don't know if you can comment on that at all, as we're getting, you know, this sort of added value really to making everything work together from all the different pots to get to where we need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things. I suppose the most important thing for me to say there is that people like Simon Brennan and others from across the region are absolutely steering myself, the future team, and our work. And they are also the people who are heavily involved and leading the way on Valley's Task Force, etc. Simon, do you want to come in at all and add to that?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, Councillor Llewellyn, I mean, what we're trying to do here, I mean, we understand that everything we want to do going forward, whether it's on the social side, it's health, it's education, but particularly from my point of view around economic growth, is based around having connectivity. It is fundamental to the whole issue. We cannot escape that. It has to happen. So we're working with Gareth, and we know there are difficult areas. You know, we've talked about 5G. I mean, there are areas that we've constantly talked about it in our committee, haven't we? That we've had areas where we can't even get a phone signal, let alone having 4G or 5G. And businesses can't survive without that sort of connectivity. So, I mean, that's why we see this as fundamental to us driving. The days of us perhaps having inward investment into valleys and bringing factories in is probably going to get more difficult. On the other hand, what we can do, which is what Gareth and I have been talking about, is almost taking the work to people, because people would be able to live and work in their valley communities as long as their connectivity was enough to allow them to work, and they could be working for a firm in Cardiff or Bristol or London or whatever they wanted to, as long as that connectivity is there. I think that's the fundamental prospect. And Gareth is right, we probably haven't got enough money there to deal with every single property that we'd like to, but we're going to do our best to make sure that we get to as many as we possibly can.
Can I just come in there as well? It's just worth me mentioning, Councillor Llewellyn, there's already quite a few funding streams available to communities. I'd imagine the communities you're referring to will be eligible. One of the things we intend to do is help the region become far, far better at supporting communities in exploiting the funding opportunities that already exist for connectivity, and to help communities pursue that funding and aggregate demand, deliver community projects, and draw down as much inward investment and funding as possible. It's not only our budget, if that makes sense. We will support communities to go after a lot more money and alternative technologies.
Yeah, definitely, guys. I think that would be, very helpful, and we sort of see the bigger picture. Plus, one aside I'll give is, we're mentioning 5G, and personally, I think, we need to be in the curve or ahead of the curve on it. But I know one of the side effects of the COVID period is that, you get lots of various theories and everything, and among that is some trepidation around 5G. So I think we need to ensure that we have good, dependable information about the rollout of that particular concept.
I always in my mind, there is a fourth work stream. I know I talked about 3 work stream, but there is a fourth work stream, which is a far softer work stream, and it's relevant to what you're saying. So myself and the team who sit in the middle and represent the region will play a role in lobbying industry, lobbying government for inward investment, but we'll also play a role in helping the local authorities deal with exactly the issues you're raising there. So we're pretty well versed already in responding to 5G queries, health concerns, etc. We know the public health advice, guidance, evidence, research, etc. So if anybody has any difficulty or any challenge there, we're more than happy to help and support. We do see that as a fourth softer work stream, if that makes sense.
Okay, thanks for that.
Yeah.
So we move on. I see Councillor Stephen Hunt is back in the meeting. Steve, your question, please.
Apologies, Chair, and if I drop out this time, just forget about me. I don't know what's going on. It's cutting off all the time. I'm sure one of you are doing it, if I'm honest. But I don't know where I got up to, Gareth, but I was just saying that I was chair of the region, and I had asked for members because we couldn't scrutinise it due to circumstances, but I asked members to forward any questions that they had for me to bring forward today, and they had read the lengthy and detailed report. They didn't bring any. They're quite happy with the report in its entirety, so they're grateful for the opportunity. I just want to add a little bit myself. I believe the digital infrastructure project is vital, obviously, to the connectivity in Neath and Talbot, and I'm aware the Carmarthen are the lead. But just want to ask a couple of questions, because I recently watched the Swansea Bay Regional Joint Scrutiny Committee, where 3 members of this meeting today are members of that meeting. I noticed a question put forward about employment opportunities, and the majority were specialist jobs. Can I ask what role Neath and Talbot are going to play in the influence or control over the digital infrastructure project within our region? It's rolled out. If we can provide or investigate those with the skills so that the jobs that they might want are local, or is it a case of market forces determining the potential jobs? And on page 92, apologies if Alan or others have asked, but I won't go through all I was going to say now because I've been cut off so many times. But I just wanted to pick on why the connection places intervention. I'm fully supportive of the urban as an important part for economic growth and the zones. But the rural connectivity, intervention, where there's a shortfall, well, I myself are on 4 megabits. So to give an example of the small businesses here in the valleys communities, and they, you mentioned in a minimum of 30. I just wondered how the plans are to roll that out as to improve the quality with the public service delivering community with the remote areas, and stimulate economic growth. Valleys are as important as urban areas, of course, especially to those that live in them. And then finally, I just wanted to say that as a local authority, tackling the rollout to our communities, particularly the rural wards that I referred to, of course, is the main focus for the proposals within the report, to target urban areas and not neglect the rural wards. The structure and project really does need to give the opportunities to everybody. And I just sort of drawing down on our influence, Neath Talbot Council, what role we are playing. So finally, I really hope that everything contained in the report can be delivered, both for urban and rural communities, because as you quite rightly said, there's an opportunity here not to be missed. So I'm fully supportive of the recommendations in the report today. And, I look forward to working with and focusing on delivering it. But again, not forgetting where it's needed at a crucial time in the valleys as well. Thank you, Gareth, and thank you, Chair. I'm sorry, I hope it stayed on this time, because I said the whole report last time and I was talking to myself. Thank you.
Okay. Gareth, you answering the questions?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's probably important to point out, you wouldn't have heard my answer earlier on, but the rural intervention, there's a mixed approach here because we recognise the diversity of the region. We all know how important the urban areas are, and that's absolutely a focus of Connected Places. But we also recognise, the importance of rural areas, underserved communities, and the businesses within those communities, and the people who are now working from home within those communities. That's the reason for the blended approach to the work streams. The distribution of investment across those work streams is dictated by that. And I think one of the amendments we've made to that business case recently in light of COVID is to strengthen the argument for social equality and what's fair and right for communities, especially in rural areas. If the entire business case was driven by GVA, we'd spend everything in Port Talbot and Swansea, is the reality, but that's not what the business case is based on. It's based on GVA and economic growth, yes, but it is also heavily aligned to what's right and what's fair and social equality for rural communities. I hope that helps.
Yeah, just briefly, Chair, I know you're
briefly there.
It is briefly. I thank you for that, because you would be aware, you're probably more clued up. We're in that 3% of the BT, which I've spoke to BT managers and bosses, and they're not coming back to the Dillys Valley. So you mentioned alternative measures. I've even spoke about straight to the home, the FFTP, is it, whatever, and they can't do that either because they haven't got the manpower to put that in place. So when you mention grants, I'm fully aware of it, but it's not available. So that's why this is very key to the Valley communities. If BT has no competition currently, are not able to achieve what we are talking about. Thank you, Chair. That's
I'd be more than happy to have a conversation afterwards if that helps in terms of what's available to you now, and if we can help in any way, no problem.
Okay, thanks for that. I can see one hand up, and that's Councillor Nigel Hunt. Nigel, is that an old hand?
No, I spoke earlier. I just put it down, Mike. I'll contact Gareth outside the meeting. Thanks.
Okay, lovely, thanks for that. I see no other indications to speak, unless anybody else wants to come in now. No. And I say thanks, Gareth and Simon, for coming here today and taking the questions. And I wish you every success with this. In respect to the recommendation to go to Cabinet is there on page 98 of the Cabinet Board papers. Is everybody happy with that? Or anybody not happy with it? Okay, can I have a proposer, please?
Move, Chair.
Seconder?
A second, Chair.
Thanks. Okay, that goes to Cabinet as it is. Item 6 on the agenda, the Environmental Act. We've decided not to scrutinise that. So then we go back to the Cabinet scrutiny papers, item 4, urgent items. Charlotte, are there any urgent items?
No, Chair, no urgent.
Okay, then that concludes the meeting. Thanks everybody for attending, and stay safe in these climates. Thank you.